All right, guys, I know it's a little bit strange for me to do this, right? To come out and to promote what another content creator has created, but the work that we're talking about here is so good that I really, really want to make sure that people are aware of it and more people talk about it. I'm talking about the World Super League, I guess you would call it, scenario that's created by Darthfurion. I put a link down below in the description of the video to the site on FM Scout, so you can check it out yourself if you haven't before. Darthfurion comes out with this every year. It was actually later this year than it had been in the past because of how frustrating FM23 is for people who create who try to create their own leagues. But man, I tell you, it's just absolutely amazing. I can't tell you how much I look forward to playing with this every single year. When I was talking a couple days ago about sort of my desire to perhaps start another save or do something different or whatever, this is exactly what I was talking about. Because, I mean, this is a really, really cool setup. So I'll show you kind of what's going on here overall. I don't have all of the stuff in front of me. You can read what he says on the website yourself. Basically, what we've done here is we have changed it so that the entire structure of everything in the world is in a single league format. There's like, about 1,100 teams or so. What I'm using right now, this is the 48-team Premier League version of this. This is called the Ultimate version. So it costs, I think, $10 or €10, depending upon where you're from, if you want to buy this. I would really recommend doing it. It's definitely worth your while to do so. As you can see, there is a 48-team Premier League here with sort of all the big teams in the mostly in Europe, but also, I guess, theoretically from elsewhere in the world. And underneath that, you have a full and complete league table. So if we look here at the structure, and hopefully this will open up. Here we go. So the structure of this, by the way, there are 6 relegations possible in the Premier League, or as few as 0. What happens is if you finish in last place or in the last 6 positions, you go up against one of the teams that come here from one of these other leagues. So, there's 6 different leagues here with 24 teams each, and only 1 promotion comes from each one of them. So if we look over here at the championship, for example, you'll see that one team is promoted. And now, how exactly does this work? Let's go take a look at here at the rules. I may be wrong. Yeah, here we go. So you're promoted to the Premier League, I guess, automatically. So what it told me there was probably incorrect. Let's go through here and we'll take a look at the rules of this. This changes every year, so it's difficult to see. Yes, so there's either from 6 to 12 teams that get relegated, right? So if you finish not sure why this is listed as 11th through 16th, but if you finish last, then you get sent down. The Premier League here, it's listed as 16 teams, but it depends on this league, the stage you're talking about. That's what's going on. So here in the initial stage, there are 48 teams, and then this transfers into sort of a weird kind of group stage setup where you have 3 different stages of 16 teams each. So if you're trying to win it, you want to be in the top 16 teams of the Premier League, including the best teams in the world. Then you get up here, and then you play each team one time, 15 more matches. So here you have... it says 68 games. Is that right? That would be a heck of a lot of games. Anyway, it's set up so that when you reach the very top group, you're playing against these teams again. Mid-table group, you play against them again, and then see where you wind up. And then the relegation group, it is the final. So the final 6 teams are relegated, and then 3 above them go to the relegation playoff. And then there is a promotion relegation playoff final. So that makes sense. We go down, we'll just use the championship as an idea. And you'll see here, I mean, AZ is here, and probably a couple of other teams, Celtic and so on. The reason why is because nationality in this doesn't really matter. Every team is in the same nation. They're all in England, but they also all keep their own individual countries, which is one of the things that makes this really interesting. You go look here again at the rules, and you'll see that, if you win first place, you are promoted automatically to the Premier League, and then you go to the promotion playoff otherwise, which means I think you have to play against one of the other winners, and then the winner of that plays one of those 3 teams that are coming down from the Premier League. Very, very difficult to move up, and really difficult sort of to make things happen. Beyond just that, there's more that goes on to this. I guess I'll stay over here. You have an FA Cup and a Champions League, and you also have a Super League Cup, right? So the FA Cup, of course, includes every single team, We go look at what do we want to see, like the rules probably. If we go all the way back to the first round, it starts right with 256 teams, and then it adds and subtracts until we go through every single team, and you get over to the final. I think that the extra teams are added. Boy, I'm not quite sure when the extra teams end up being added. Probably the 7th round or something like that. It's been a little while since I've played with this, so we have to play around a little bit and figure it out. There's your FA Cup. Beyond that, you also have a Champions League structure, which is very much like sort of the current Champions League. The difference, though, is that you're looking at teams who are all already basically in the Premier League. I don't know what it's like this year. In past years, there have been teams from what he calls Super League One, so the next rung down, who are also part of this. But it looks like this year it's probably all just Premier League teams, which would make sense. You have 8 different groups of 4 teams each. There's only 32 teams, and you have 48 in the Premier League, so it's probably your top 32 teams that make it into that. And then Super League Cup, which is another league cup. So there you have it. There's also a conference league that also comes only when you have the or when you're playing in the very top level. You go over here as well. You can see that there are different Super League levels. Unfortunately, it's not going to let me get to that. But if we go to let's see if it'll let me type today. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So you have Super League One, which is a compilation of a whole bunch of different leagues, right? So it goes straight to the championship. You can also see La Liga, Serie A, and so on. And as we go down, it will go down to in our structure. Yeah, here we go. We have La Liga 2, and we go down and down and down, further and further we go. When we look again at the structure, you can see that so there are 24 teams in all of the, 6 leagues over at the League 2 level, or the League 1 level, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 leagues at the Super League 2 level, all with 24 clubs, and there are 3 promotions and 4 relegations. You go down to the Super League 3 level, there's even more, and they also all have 24 clubs in themselves. So we can go over here to League 2 from Super League 3 and see that there's a completely different mix of teams. These are all English teams, aren't they? If we go down a little bit, though, we'll see that you'll get teams from pretty much everywhere in the world, including some teams that are not actually part of the base game. That I think have to have been, I think they're in the base game, but they're not playable in the base game of Football Manager. They're playable here. You can play with like any team you want. And then here, if you go to the structure, then you'll see that there are the levels before. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 levels, all also of 24 teams each. So if you go to the Tercera División, you'll see that we have a whole bunch of teams, mostly that I haven't heard of. Looks like mostly South American teams here. And when we go below them, there's one more level. So if we go down here, yeah, we see the National League North, South, East, and West, which is almost all composed of English teams, if I remember right. Not 100%, but it's like almost everything, or the lower league English teams you would imagine. I mean, we do have the Dresdner, for example, and teams like that. Most of these teams, this is where you're going to get down to, there's an amateur team, for example. You get down to amateur or semi-pro status. Used to be earlier on, it's not here this year, but it used to be that there was a team for Holland, which was always my sort of dream of playing with, because they had the lowest reputation out of every team in the league. The idea is, can you use this team to somehow build yourself up in this world of Football Manager? But I mean, you can start with like Darthfurion Hamlet, professional team, so you have a leg up because of that. But if you're trying to use them to make it all the way to the top, right, you have to be promoted from 5 to 4, from 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1. And then you only have really like one shot or a playoff shot at getting promoted from there. And then once you're in the Premier League, you have to make sure you stay on, because you got 48 other great teams to play against. So there's a lot of really, really interesting stuff going on here. If we check out, again, Darthfurion Hamlet, and we take a look at what their schedule is like, you can see they are not only in the FA Cup, but they're also in the Super League 5 Cup. So each of these Super Leagues, I guess I should explain, has those Super League Cups as well. In addition to the FA Cup, you're not going to make it to the Champions League or to the Conference League from here. But there's a lot of stuff to play for and a lot of stuff to get built up. It's kind of hard to see sort of like from this vantage point, although I guess I could probably figure out how to show this to you. If we go here to the rules, you'll see that there is a considerable amount of prize money everywhere, including at the very bottom, right? Even if you don't win, you do get a certain amount of prize money. Now, you won't get a lot of television money here at the lower levels, but as you move up, there is quite a bit of television money that's available. So you look at their schedule. I mean, they'll have a television match like every once in a while. It's usually these cup matches and things like that, which is cool to see. The other thing that's kind of harder to see that really makes this add-on stand out is the fact that the finances are balanced. And what I mean when I say that the finances are balanced is that it's set up so that if you are a team from like a long way away in the world, if you're from, I don't know, like Egypt, or if you're from like Chile or something like that, and you're traveling all around the world, this setup has it so that you will be reimbursed for your travel for your cup matches or whatever, which is a key. A lot of people who put together these types of super leagues miss out on that key. The problem is that if you don't reimburse teams for travel, they're automatically at a disadvantage, right? You made it to your cup round, you won your game, you move up to the next round, and all of a sudden your club's bankrupt, right? That does happen if you're not careful with this and if you don't do a whole lot of testing. So again, that's one of the reasons why I really recommend looking at this. I love playing with this. I play with it every year when it comes out. I buy it as soon as it comes out. Honestly, World Super League being released for me is the sign that I need to buy the base game, right? I find it more interesting and more enjoyable than the base game. I think there's a lot more possibilities, and there's a whole lot of other sort of special things that go on there, right? There's no work permits to worry about. You're not beholden to any sort of nationality rules or anything like that. So you can theoretically make like some massive super team from wherever it is you want to make it. So a lot of other stuff we can talk about here, and we'll use more time in the future. This video is already long enough, but we'll have a little bit more on this in the future as we play around. I'll talk with you again later. Bye.